What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Destroy coming at you with a new video for Astro DFS. Today, we're going to be talking about running backs, and like always, guys, this is on Wednesday. There's still 4 days before game day, so injuries can happen, both offensively and defensively. That can change these opinions that I'm giving you, but this is just the Wednesday report on who I am liking for Sunday. So we're just going to start off with our expensive running backs, Christian McCaffrey against Houston. I was so wrong about McCaffrey last week. I actually wasn't that wrong. I just liked Elliott more than I did McCaffrey. McCaffrey, I knew was going to get feeded. Everyone knew he was going to get feeded. It was just of how Arizona was going to respond to that. Um, the reason I wasn't too high on McCaffrey was because I was so high on Garyon Johnson week 1 against Arizona, or against Arizona, and they shut Johnson and the entire Detroit's running backs down. And I thought they were going to do the same thing for McCaffrey, but they couldn't. McCaffrey was just that good. So McCaffrey's playing Houston, and even though you see that red for fourth, that doesn't scare me at all. McCaffrey's gonna get looks again. Like, it's gonna happen. I don't think Houston's gonna stop McCaffrey, especially the amount of receptions and yards they give up to running backs, making him a very good play. We might see a little more passing coming out of Allen this week. It might be the same game plan. Houston's got a little better defensive backs than Arizona did. Does have good defensive backs. It's just they're hurt and or suspended. So I expect Christian McCaffrey to be probably, out of all these expensive guys here, even though Saquon's out, probably one of the better plays here at 8,800. Definitely willing to pay up for him, especially with how cheap some of these receivers are this week, making it very good to play him. Next is Dalvin Cook, 8,300 at Chicago. Dalvin Cook looks amazing this season, but guess what? I'm a Bears fan, and Bears shut down running backs. That's what they do. Keem Hicks, I saw, was questionable, so that's one thing I'll take into consideration. Nichols is also hurt, their backup for that position, so it could make running up the middle a little bit easier for Dalvin Cook, but Bears' defense is just always good against the run. They do have an occasional game where they let the running back slip, but it's not going to be crazy numbers. 8,300, he might get some receptions, but I'm not expecting him to get the yards he usually does this season. At 8,000, we have Austin Eckler against Miami. Anybody against Miami is good. Definitely taking Austin Eckler a lot this week. You should too. The only way Austin Eckler doesn't get a lot of points is if they split it with Jackson, and they might, just depending on how big of a lead they get. So at 8,000, definitely going Eckler. 7,000, a big price difference here, is Todd Gurley against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been pretty good against the run this year, and Todd Gurley has not looked good this year, so definitely going to fade Gurley. Next is David Johnson. David Johnson is produced pretty good. Seattle's defense has not produced at all, as far as anyone expected them to. So David Johnson, 6,800. If you need a medium to good guy, he's going to get receptions. He's probably going to get yards. He's definitely someone that's not going to go crazy. He's not going to get a 40-point game anytime soon unless they change the game plan. They are just letting Kyler Murray throw in. He's doing such a good job doing that. So at 6,800, I mean, he's a good safe play. Always is. 6,800, I would take him. 6,600, right below him. So I'm still kind of against Baltimore running backs. I've been wrong. Ingram has got the majority of that workload. And it's not going to load. That's okay. He has got a majority of that workload. 6,600, yeah, is a good price point against Cleveland's defense, and they don't look good at all. But I expect Lamar Jackson to sling the ball again. Cleveland's defensive backs are hurt, and you saw what Jared Goff and the Rams did to them in the passing game. I just expect Lamar Jackson to have a huge game, and Ingram maybe might get those goal line touchdowns, which never a bad thing, but I don't know, because Cleveland's defense did allow Derrick Henry to destroy them. They could allow Ingram to do the same exact thing. But right below him is Nick Chubb, 6,400. Like I said, if there's any consistency on that Cleveland offense, it's Nick Chubb. Baltimore's rushing defense is definitely better than their passing defense, so Cleveland might rely on Nick Chubb to carry a lot of the workload this week. It might change, but 6,400, like I would rather go up a little bit to go Ingram in this matchup, or to go down a little bit. Derrick Henry against Atlanta. Tennessee's offense does not look consistent at all right now this season. Derrick Henry has not looked that bad. He had a bad week last week, but he's 6,300 against Atlanta, and Dalvin Cook destroyed Atlanta. And I could see Derrick Henry doing the same exact thing. So I would go 6,300 Derrick Henry. Right below him, Marlon Mack. Like, these prices are pretty good for these medium running backs. Marlon Mack, I love. I love this week against Oakland's defense. Marlon Mack does a lot of the workload, and he looks 100% healthy. No one's ever 100%, but he looks healthy. So last week I faded him and went to Carson just because Marlon Mack, any running back that has any type of leg injury, you kind of don't want to go after just because they can get hurt and they need their legs. Like, that's their entire workload is their legs. So if he looks healthy, 6,100 against Oakland. There's a lot of potential there for Marlon Mack to get a lot of receptions, a lot of yards, maybe some touchdowns. Not too sure, but Marlon Mack is 6,100. I love. Right below him at 6,000 is Fournette against Denver. Denver's rush defense is really, really good. They don't allow a lot of rushing yards. That's one thing Vic Fangio has brought from Chicago to Denver. Like, their passing might give out a lot more than their rushing, but no one's able to rush on Denver so far. We haven't seen a breakout performance, and Leonard Fournette has not looked good. He had one good rush last week. If he didn't have that rush, Leonard Fournette, I'm pretty sure, would have had negative rushing yards. So 6,000, I'm definitely not going Leonard Fournette here. But right below him is 5,700 Chris Carson, which brings up question marks. The only question marks is Carson fumbled again, and they said that they're going to keep him doing the same exact thing for the most part. But with Penny out last week, it was him and I forgot the other running back's name. But Chris Carson fumbled, and we didn't see much Chris Carson production after that. Arizona's defense, I mean, like I said, they shut down Johnson. They allowed McCaffrey to do a lot. I think, honestly, if Chris Carson fumbles again this week, he's done as far as the game. And if Penny's in the game, if Penny's available, I'm not going Chris Carson this week. I can't. It's too much of a risk at 5,700. It's just way too much of a risk. If I knew that Penny was out again, maybe I go Carson. But like I said, he just got basically taken out of the game last week after he fumbled. So definitely fading him. I will take any Kansas City running back this week against Detroit. I will. It's Kansas City. And then it's Detroit's defense. Detroit's rushing defense is terrible. Their passing defense is okay, but it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. I expect Kansas City to put up some big points against Detroit. And I expect Detroit to actually fight back a little, but not that much. So Kansas City running backs, I'm loving. There's 4 of them, but I only expect if McCoy and Williams are back. McCoy and Williams are back. It's kind of questionable if who you want to take. I would take McCoy over Williams, but it's a preference. I mean, they're $200 apart. It's pretty much a 50-50 of whoever you want to take. I'm leaning towards McCoy, though. Sony Michel against Buffalo. Sony Michel has got outworked by White and Burkhead so far this season. White did not play last week because of a child being born for him. So is Michel and Burkhead. And Burkhead did way better than Michel, but I think Michel's going to bounce back this week. I think Sony Michel is due for a good week, and at Buffalo, I see Sony Michel having that week again. So 5,500, I really like Sony Michel here. Right below him, on Johnson. Detroit's running back core, what they're doing now. I don't like any Detroit running back right now. They're just giving the ball to too many running backs, and on Johnson has not produced like I expected him to do this season. 5,400, definitely fading him. David Montgomery, last week, out of any weeks, I thought he was going to have that game on Monday. He didn't. They relied on Trubisky to do a lot more of the work. They brought Cordell Patterson in for a couple runs. 5,300 is just, you haven't seen Montgomery have that game yet, so it's kind of too much of a risk, more of a GPP than cash. I still like him. Minnesota has a good defense, and this is going to be a defensive showdown, so I'm not really liking any players between Minnesota and Chicago this week. Philip Lindsay, 5,200. They're home against Jacksonville. Denver's offense doesn't look amazing, but the running backs look pretty good. Lindsay and Freeman are splitting the workload, so it's any running backs that split the workload. It's a risk. It's a risk to take, more of a GPP than a cash. So Freeman 48, Lindsay 52. If you're going anybody, you're going Lindsay, but oh man, I am tired this morning. But I would definitely go Lindsay over Freeman against Jacksonville's defense, because Jacksonville just has a great passing defense. They're probably going to have to rely a lot on the running backs this week. But like I said, it's just too much of a risk with a 50-50. Josh Jacobs, 5,100. He had a great first game, had two bad games after that. He was banged up. At 5,100, I like him against Indiana. I really do. You could see that they still want to include Josh Jacobs in a lot of their offense. It's just they're down. They're playing from behind, so they have to pass a lot. That's why Waller had such an amazing game last week, was just because they were down and they had to pass the ball. But I think Indiana's not going to have that blowout potential, and Josh Jacobs could see a lot of looks this week. So 5,100, I'm really enjoying Josh Jacobs' price right there. Freeman, I had in 2 GPP lineups last week, and he did exactly what I needed him to do. He had a really good game. So far, the best game of the season against Tennessee's defense. They shut down Fournette last week, but Matt Ryan's a passer. I can't really see Freeman having too much of an explosive game again. So not really liking them at 5,000, 4,900. Like I said, New England's running backs, like, they're just going to get points. They just don't have that potential to have a 30-point game, which you need in order to win GPPs or win cash. You don't need it, but it does help. It settles you down a little bit because you don't have to worry. They're playing Buffalo. They're going to score a lot of points, but they like Burkhead a lot more than they did previously. He's definitely got some looks. They might go pretty much, say, 40-40-20 this week with the running backs. So it's just a preference if you want to take that risk. Like I said, same thing with some of these running backs on the list. Next one we're going to look at, we're not going to talk about Williams. We're going to talk about Gallman Jr. He is Barkley's backup. He's going to be starting this week. He's going to get a lot of looks. Not as far as receptions, attempts, but they're playing Washington's defense, and Washington has a terrible defense. So Gallman might be a good play. I'm not trusting it yet. I don't like taking players that I haven't really seen. The reason I didn't take any rookie quarterbacks last week or any backups last week is just you really haven't seen what they could do. You have to see at least 1 to 2 weeks to see the potential of what they can and can't do. I'm liking other players from New York. I like Daniel Jones. I like Shepard. I like Ingram. I don't really like Gallman here. Tariq Cohen, like I said, no Minnesota Chicago player this week. I haven't seen Tariq Cohen yet this season, so definitely not playing him. Thompson, I'm really enjoying Thompson's price, 4,500 against New York's So this is basically two terrible defenses playing against each other. We could see a standoff though. We could see where the offenses just don't do anything. We could see like a 40-point game by both teams. I don't know, but I really like Thompson playing this week against New York. 4,500 could be a really good way to save some money this week. Frank Gore at 4,400 playing New England. I'm not playing any Buffalo. I'm not playing Singletary or Frank Gore. I'm not playing anybody from Buffalo this week against New England's defense because they don't have any flaws as of now. Not really seeing anybody else here that I would even consider playing. Maybe Carlos Hyde is a risk, but that's about it. Guys, that's pretty much it. Any other these running backs, like I said, this is the Wednesday report. We don't know if anyone else is going to be out or anything else like that happens, but that's it for running backs. So there's a few really good plays here. There's a few questionable plays, and then there's plays that you should make. Um, anyway, I hope this helps you guys. Leave in the comments who you think is going to have a good game. Let me know if we agreed on anybody, and then let me know if I'm wrong on anybody, if you have high hopes for somebody that I don't have high hopes for. Anyway, thank you guys for all the support on these videos. We really do appreciate it here at Astro DFS. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Astro DFS if you're interested in lines. DM us and we can hook you up for a price. Anyway, this is today's video on running backs. We will see you tomorrow in the wide receiver video. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.